Am I the a-hole for throwing my siblings in foster care so I could have a better life? I have roughly too many siblings and even more step-siblings. Between my parents and my latest stepfather, we had 8 kids living here. Myself, 19 female, 3 half-siblings on my mom's side, 15, 11, and 9. 4 step-siblings, 14, 12, 9, and 6. And 1 full sister, 6 female. Things have never been particularly good or stable, but now we're at rock bottom. My mother and stepfather are going to be going away for a long time and everyone is in a rush to get all these kids into homes. I'm the only one who's over 18, so everyone wants me to do it. I don't want to. I had gotten an opportunity. My grandma on my father's side offered to have 6 female and I move in with her, and even pay for me to go to college. The thing is, she lives several states away. I talked to social services about this and got the answer that I could move 6 female without a problem because our parents were able to voluntarily give me guardianship of her and I'm her full sister. The rest I could only take in if I stayed in the States because they would be a full foster care placement though. I'm sorry, but being forced to stay here would destroy my future. I could definitely survive, but I would be stuck in this horrible place working paycheck to paycheck. I could never have a real life, so I made the obvious choice. The social workers were nice enough to arrange it to where 6 female and I weren't just standing in front of them during the pickup, but obviously they know exactly why they're now in care. The 4 of them that have phones have been texting and calling me nonstop. Some of them for help and some to just scream at me for abandoning them. I know the system is going to be really bad for them because of where they are and their ages, but I just can't do it. I can't blow this. This is mine and 6 females' first chance for a real life. And I feel like I owe it to both of us to take it. Am I in the wrong here? The kids and my mom think I am. My grandma thinks I should have done something but can't say what, and wouldn't let them in her house even if it could happen. The only person who doesn't think worse of me is 6 female, who says she likes the quiet, but obviously doesn't know the full story. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. Your siblings should be mad at your parents, not you. They were the ones putting everyone in this position. You are 19. In no way can or should you be the parent to that many kids. Don't fault yourself. You were put in that situation too, not just them. Good luck to all of you. And have siblings and step-siblings, there should be other parents and grandparents who could take them in. The full sibling is the only one where there isn't another parent, and it sounds like grandparent is stepping up for her and you. Not the a-hole. Exactly what stuck out to me too. The half-siblings presumably have fathers out there, and the step-siblings have a mother. Even if those parents are also out of the picture for whatever reason, I assume they have families. So that means not a single adult from 4 possible families was willing to step up for any of the kids? And yet they all judged the 19-year-old for not doing it. I feel for those kids and I don't blame them for being upset, but it's horrible that mom and everyone else is encouraging them to direct the anger at OP. This is not her fault at all. I don't know where any of the extended families are except mine and 6 females. I wasn't close to either of the fathers of my half-siblings. If I ever met their families, it was maybe once. My mom's family aren't people I would go see voluntarily. I have some involvement in the foster care system in my country. It is absolutely amazing how often desperate social workers will try to come up with a kinship care solution that a 5-year-old could see would never work. The problem is that the system is in crisis. There aren't enough foster carers, and social workers have caseloads that are too high. So in desperation, they will try to stitch together some kinship, family care, plan that usually falls apart in a couple of months. There is no way in the world that an 18-year-old should ever be approved to take on 6 or 7 children. It should never even have been offered as an option to you because you don't have the capacity to raise those children and care for them. You made the right choice. It's heartbreaking, but it's right. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my friend and her daughter live with me and my boyfriend? Me, female 25, and my boyfriend Marcus, male 29, have been together for 3 years, lived together for 2. I've known Ellie, female 24, since we were kids. We grew up down the street from each other and have remained close friends all these years. She has a 3-year-old daughter, Heather. The guy that got her pregnant ended up being a total piece of crap and left her as soon as she gave birth. He then signed away his parental rights and is no contact. Ellie and Heather currently live with her parents and they help her financially. Ellie's family is from France and her parents have moved here before she was born. They decided they want to move back to France next year so they can be closer to the rest of the family. Ellie wants to stay here, but she's not financially stable enough to live on her own. Marcus and I bought a 3-bedroom house to move into in January. We wanted the extra space so we could have room for our 2 dogs, and we will use the extra rooms as a guest room and an office since I have a hybrid job. An office half the time / work from home the other half. Ellie asked if her and Heather could move into the guest room for a couple years while she saves money to get her own place. I have a few issues with this. 1, she has a kid. Nothing against Heather. She's a sweet girl and I've babysat her a few times. But me and Marcus are child-free, so we don't want to have to change the way we live to accommodate one. Things like child-proofing the place, potentially being woken up at night to a crying kid are things we just don't want. 2, Ellie isn't trustworthy with finances. She doesn't make moves to better her life. Her family paid for online college classes and she failed out. They pay for childcare while Ellie works but she keeps quitting jobs. She spends money on new clothes for herself instead of saving, etc. She does not contribute to bills or groceries for her parents whatsoever. Basically lives there for free. 3, Marcus and I just want our own space for us and our dogs. And we've worked really hard to save up the money for this house, and we just want it to be for us. 4, it would be for at least a year or 2. We wanted a guest room for friends and family to be able to stay with us when visiting, but only for temporary stays, like 1 to 2 weeks max. Marcus agrees with me on all these points. However, Ellie called me in tears saying that she has no other option, and that she wants her and Heather to stay in the US but can't do it alone. She practically begged me, saying that I was an a-hole for having all this extra space, and not using it to help her out of her situation when we've been friends for so long. She told me if the situation was reversed, she would do it for me. I don't want to have to see her move away and be unhappy, but the whole setup would just make us uncomfortable. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole at all. Those couple of years would basically be you with a child you didn't sign up for. And honestly, it would probably end up a lot longer than a couple of years. It's your house. You decide who stays and who doesn't. And her lack of planning is not your emergency. Ellie has other options. Either get her act together or move back to France with her parents. Not stay home. Right? She's acting desperate. But she has a home waiting for her in France if she's unwilling to not be a lazy flake. And it sounds like Ellie hasn't paid for rent, utilities, childcare, or food in years. She should absolutely have enough money saved to put a deposit on an apartment or something. This begs another question. Who will watch Heather while Ellie is at work or out? I'm assuming she will want Opie to watch the kid when she's working from home. If Ellie can't support herself and her child, she needs to move to France with her parents. Not expect to get the same treatment her parents give her from her friends. That is asking way too much of Opie and her husband. They may be lifelong friends, but it's not their responsibility to support her. Not the a-hole. Ellie has had months / years living with her parents to better her position and hasn't done so. Even though he signed away his rights, she could pursue the father for child support, but presumably hasn't done so. Why should you and your husband do more for Ellie and her daughter? House them, probably pay their utilities and maybe even feed them, than Ellie had done herself. If you let her move in, Ellie won't save. She'll just spend her money just like she always has. If Ellie wants a free ride, she can move to France with her parents. If she wants a free ride, she can just not. Because that's not the way the real world works. Not in the USA, not in France, not in Canada, not anywhere. Her parents are no longer responsible for her as an adult, and they're not obligated to pay thousands of dollars / euros for her to move to France so she can continue to leech off of them. She needs to get a job and support her child, and maybe it will take her being homeless temporarily to pull her head out of her behind and learn that. I feel bad for the daughter though. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not caring for a child I said I wouldn't care for? I, 28 female, am child-free. I don't even really like kids. My sister, 23 female Amber, has a kid, and because it's a pretty close-knit family, she's pretty used to everyone pitching in to help. She said she was going out for a few hours and was stopping at my house to pick up a package delivered to me by mistake. We have the same street number on similar sounding streets. Think 25 Hirsch and 25 Hurst, so this happens pretty often. When Amber got to my house, she put down her kid and said, "Thanks for watching him, by the way." I asked her what she was talking about. She said she was thanking me for watching her kid as well. I said that I never agreed to it and was not okay with that. But she said, "We're sisters. Family helps family," and ended up leaving. So I didn't. I left the kid right in my entryway where Amber left him and just went about my day. I didn't leave the house or anything, but I said I'm not a babysitter, and I wasn't one. Well, Amber got mad at me when she came back 4 hours later and the kid had a full diaper and was crying when he saw her. I told her I said I wasn't watching her kid, and she's lucky I didn't call the police. But Amber said that not wanting to babysit doesn't mean you don't do it. The entire family sides with her, and Amber says she's cutting me off until I apologize and make more of an effort with my nephew. I've gotten nasty messages from relatives galore, and the only one who doesn't think me a raging witch is my dad, who doesn't involve at all in family drama. I do love my sister and understand family's family, but am I really the a-hole for not doing a job I expressly said I don't want? Now for the top comments. Everyone sucks here. You left a baby unsupervised for 4 hours? No matter what point you were trying to prove, are you really willing to risk the life of a baby to make it? The only good solution here was to tell her you wouldn't take care of the kid and tell her that if she leaves, you'll call the police. Then you call the police when she leaves. You don't let a kid unsupervised for 4 hours, even if your sister sucks. You don't let a kid unsupervised for 4 hours to prove a point. The baby was in a carrier. They left a child in the entryway in a carrier for 4 hours. Honestly disgusting of OP. Everyone sucks here. Yes, and people are missing the fact that babies have died in carriers from positional asphyxiation and strangulation. Is OP nuts? You would not leave a puppy out there like that. It can literally die. By all means, call the police or CPS to teach her a lesson. But risking a kid's life to prove some sort of point is WTF mate territory. The only one even more insane is the mom. How in the world does she leave her own baby alone like that without an adult explicitly taking responsibility? Truly, a lot of people in this world should not breed. This whole family's absolutely guano crazy. Everyone sucks here. Hard. You're the a-hole. You punished a tiny baby for the actions of an adult. Punishing the innocent is always an a-hole move. Doing it to a literal infant in diapers is unconscionable. You should be ashamed of yourself. Glad she plans to be child-free. At least some self-awareness, I guess. This is less child-free and more like anti-kid. Child-free people aren't cruel to kids. They just don't want them for themselves. She's what called aggressively child-free. They're some of the cruelest losers allowed to walk among the general public. Pathetic in every way and willing to let a child suffer for their own values. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to babysit my ex's stepkids? Plus updates. My ex Thomas and I have been split for around 4 years. We have 2 kids together. Twins, a boy and a girl aged 12. He married Sandy about 18 months ago. She has 2 children between 7 to 10 years old. Our current custody agreement is I have the kids 2 weeks on 1 week off when they go to Thomas's. It's a private agreement we have as it works best with his job as he travels, so we make sure for that week he's home. Recently I got a text from Sandy asking if I could come pick the kids up. She had plans and my ex had been held up at work. Wasn't a problem. I was on my way home from work so I could swing by and get them. I rang my ex to confirm that's what he wanted and also said it's around 5:30. I'll keep them for the night. He said that was great and would let Sandy know. When I got to their place, my kids opened the door and were packed and ready to go. The kids called out that I was there and they were leaving, and she yelled out a goodbye. As I was pulling out of the driveway, Sandy comes running out waving her arms. I stop and ask what the problem was, and she said why I didn't take her kids. I said that wasn't what I agreed to and I would never agree to that. She replied, why not? I'm always babysitting your kids. I said that's something between you and Thomas, but my kids are my responsibility. And I'm sorry, but I don't know your children well enough to take them back to my house and have them stay. I left, and within 2 minutes, Thomas is on the phone begging me to go back and get Sandy's kids because she always watches ours. I said the same thing to him and hung up. I got the kids home, and while they were having dinner, I asked how often does Sandy watch them. My son said they normally don't see their dad till the weekend. Sometimes they see him in the morning, but it's normally Sandy who is with them during the week. I left the kids to watch TV and rang Thomas back. He started cussing me out about Sandy's kids. I let him finish and asked why he thought it would be appropriate for a woman that those kids hardly know look after them at my house. He said again that Sandy watched our kids, so fair is fair, and I've also upset her kids as they were looking forward to the sleepover. I rang my sister to vent and she flipped it on me and said I was taking my issues with Sandy and Thomas out on Sandy's kids. I don't have any issue with either of them, but I'm starting to feel like I was the a-hole, but I made no promises to our kids. Not the a-hole. That's just not how custody works. You aren't obligated to take care of your ex's stepkids. At this point, I would ask him if he wants to modify custody. Obviously, he is taking this as some sort of favor she is doing for you by babysitting your kids. Take that power off the table. If this is such a burden that she feels entitled to reciprocal childcare, I can certainly take that off both of your plate. And then there is no obligation that can even be inferred. Yep. Get all of their answers in text about how often the ex is actually spending time with the kids and how they both claim she's babysitting. If he isn't spending the time with them, he doesn't need them that often. Then the new wife doesn't really have anything to say, aside from the obvious fact that Opie's never obligated to watch these other kids. Info. She says she babysits the kids during Thomas week. She has never babysat for me during my time. Update. I wasn't aware that Thomas was MIA during the week. I always ask the kids how was it at their dad's, what they did, etc., but I never grill them for info, and they haven't mentioned before he hadn't been home. I also don't want to go guns blazing to my lawyers and changing our custody agreement. In our country, not America, it's very common to have private agreements done with our lawyers and not in front of a judge. I have messaged Thomas to have a catch-up about the kids. Info. For everyone asking about right of first refusal, this is not a law in our country. Final update. Thanks for all your comments. I've just gotten back from a catch-up with Thomas. We have agreed for right now I'll have the kids full-time and I'll have them every second weekend. But I have also made him agree that he'll take them out during the week twice a month. And when his work settles down, we will go back to the original agreement with him being at home. Otherwise, I will be going for full legal custody through the courts.